Hello everyone, I do hope you're doing well. I know it's been 12 months since I last did a video for all my friends all around the world, and today perhaps I can enlighten you slightly as to why this is. I'm sure most of you know that I don't do Facebook or Twitter or any other social media apart from YouTube. So this is my personal message to my friends as to what is going on here in the UK. You know, I've lived in this house for 25 years. I know I'm a bit of a mad scientist. There's all sorts of gadgets and contraptions around me, which is interesting, and I use it for research. And trying to establish a relationship with this can be a little bit tricky. You need a certain type of girl to understand these things. I did meet two girls actually, reasonably recently, within the last 5 to 7 years, one of which had 2 children, and she lived probably 2 hours or so away, and I got talking with her, and she says, "Oh, well, you can't live with me because it's too far for work, and I can't live with you because they'll stop my benefit that I get." So I said, "How much benefit do you get then for having a couple of kids living alone as a single parent?" She goes, "Oh, well, it's about £30,000 a year in all." She says, "If I live with you, they'll stop my benefit." So that was the end of that. It didn't develop. I then met another really nice girl, actually, another one, and she had £20,000 worth of debt, no kids, and she said, "If I live with you, you'll be liable for my debt." And you know, I've just got fed up with the girls in this country. It's not actually their fault, but it's a government fault, where they pay them too much benefit to be single, living alone. Therefore, a man is not required. In fact, I scoured the world and I found an absolutely amazing girl in India, funnily enough, degree educated here in the UK. I think she's got a master's degree and a few other bits of paper, perfect English, no problem. So I thought, this is interesting. So I started talking to this girl in India. This was back in 2015. Things were going very well. And she says, "I'll come and visit you." So she applied for a tourist visa. And the Home Office, in their infinite wisdom, rejected that tourist visa. They said, "We have reason to believe that you may not return to India." So she reapplied for the tourist visa under different circumstances to come with her mother for a visit. Again, they rejected it, saying, "Who's going to look after the business they have in India?" So she applied for a third time, and again they rejected that tourist visa, saying, "Well, now you've said a different story to the first." So we gave up with the idea of her coming to visit on a tourist visa. So what I did, bravely, I went to India to meet her, and she was exactly as described, perfect in all ways. And I thought, right, we're going to get married in India. Now, I'd done everything perfectly. We have to go to our local registry office in the UK and give notice of intention to marry and obtain a no objection certificate, of which I'd done, and I got that. It took 30 days. No objections. So when I got to India, we finally got married. Everything perfect. All the lawyers and the judges, magistrates, whatever you want to call it, perfect. Accepted, wonderful. Family, wonderful. Couldn't be any better. But then, you see, this is where it gets complicated. Then my wife, who is now in India, has to apply to come to the UK on a spouse visa. Guess what? The Home Office, after 6 months, rejected it. They accepted the marriage was perfect, but they rejected it on the grounds of my income. Now, my income's complicated because I'm a company director and I've run my company for 20 years. 20 years worth of accounts, flawless. And the requirement is you have to earn more than 18,600 a year to be able to bring in a spouse. Well, of course, I do. I earn more than that. But there's one complicated issue which they rejected it on. And it's this. Thing is, as a company director, you don't have to give yourself pay slips. You do an end of year self-assessment and a company tax return, which I've done for the last 20 years. And that is under the rules of Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. Don't have to give yourself a pay slip if you work for yourself. But on the other hand, the Home Office, they want pay slips. And well, pay slips, it says if issued. Well, they weren't issued, just my tax returns. So I filled out all the paperwork, sent it off to the Home Office, rejected. What a waste of time that was. After 6 months of waiting, the answer's no, even though they accept the marriage. I know, it's a bit of a boring story, but bear with us. So, on the day that my visa's rejected, it's published in the papers that terrorists will get given free council houses, and then a short while later people at the Home Office are forging documents for their own people, and then we've got this Windrush scandal and everything else. Good people are being sent out of the country, bad people are allowed. And to be honest, I've had a whole year of working, giving myself a pay slip every month, putting that same amount in the bank for 12 months. So it's been 12 months, which I've just had to wait. Now I'm just about to reapply with the 12 pay slips, 12 bank statements, all matching up. Exactly the same amount of income, in fact a little bit more. So I'm going to reapply. But, do you know, it's been a devastating year. It's been truly devastating to have that rejection. I've got my wife stuck in India. It feels like I've been stuck in prison for 12 months for something I haven't done in this house, and I can't be with my wife. Now, I started talking to her in 2015. It's now 2018. She's still not here. When you apply for a visa, it's £1,500 to apply for a visa. You then have to pay, I think it's £600 or £800 national health surcharge. You don't get a refund on the visa when it's rejected. So I got my rejection letter stating we accept the marriage, it's genuine, but we don't accept your finances. So, okay. So I spoke with my lawyer, who knows nothing about accounts. My accountant knows nothing about immigration rules, but between them, somehow, they've made a mess of it and got through it somehow. So, now I'm going to reapply. Because if you appeal it, it's a 2-year wait to hear the appeal. So and that's £7,000, and you need a barrister to appeal it, that decision. But the lawyer said, well, if you reapply, you know, it's going to be cheaper because it's only £3,500. Obviously, £3,500 with the lawyer fees and everything else, and you can apply within 6 months. So I'm just about to reapply, but I'll be honest. Every day for the last year, I've wanted to end it all. I've been planning how would I end it all into the tiniest detail. Will it be the 400 kV? Or will it be the railway line? Even to the details of writing a letter to thank the driver of the train. But I figured the 400 kV would be more fitting for me. But I'd make sure that I handcuffed myself to the ironwork so I don't fall off. That'd be a waste. I want to be swinging on it, cooking. And I consider this every day. Every single fucking day. Because my wife is stuck in India. Every day, our chances of starting our own family gets less and less. We're both the same age. So, I'm just disgusted with my own government, my own Home Office. I've paid £208,000 in tax in my working life. I've never been out of work. I've paid my mortgage off. I've never broke the law. And I'm treated like that. So my apologies to my good friends around the world for not being able to do a video, but I haven't been able to face the camera. It's tears. Most days it's fucking tears. So I knew I wouldn't get through it. No, I'm not done. Two minutes. Okay, I'm with it. Now, there's something my friends around the world don't know. In 2008, my very first video was one of these transformers, that transformer behind there somewhere, was my first uploaded video. And it whacks out 300,000 volts, and it's a special design for a machine. Bear with us. Now then, that machine is designed to break water into hydrogen and oxygen. And I wanted witnesses for the machine. I wanted you to see it work, but I never finished it. So what I'm going to do, the reactor upstairs and the power supply and all the plans are going to go to a top university in India. They're going to develop it. I'm going to give it to them, and maybe they can develop it with the £60 million or so of foreign aid that we give to India. And I shall make sure that the UK do not have it. So I feel good about that. Good university in India, they'll finish it. Secondly, you might laugh at this one, but it is serious. For many, many years, probably a decade or so, free energy, perpetual motion. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? People have been working on it for years. But I have to sit here today and tell you that perpetual motion and free energy exists right here. Limitless amounts of power can be generated. Shall I tell you how? Well, the perpetual motion is actually the planet. It's been turning at 1,000 miles an hour for billions of years. And it's not going to slow down. And guess what? Our planet has a magnetic field and it's rotating. Therefore, you can produce power. In fact, 40 terawatts of power from the rotation and the field of the planet. I've got the plans. I'll show you the plans if you want to see the plans. But obviously it's going to need quite a bit of copper and iron to build the contraption. It will probably be 4 square kilometres of ground space. That's all what's required. 4 square kilometres. And the thing will rotate like a gyroscope on the spinning planet. And the small difference in field will allow self-excitation. You believe that? And guess what? That is going to China and Russia. Because there's no chance that the UK can develop anything as good as that here. It doesn't have the mentality or the capacity. The UK's finished. So there's 2 things the UK are going to miss out on. And finally, if I do apply for my wife's visa and they reject it again, well, there's a nice place in South India. I can sell all my assets in this country and I can live in Goa in South India. In fact, if I sold my house, which obviously I've paid the mortgage off in full, I could buy 4 houses in India. And that's peace. The interest rate in India is 10% in the bank. So if you put 100 big ones in the bank, 10 grand a year, like interest. Bit of a no-brainer. But I'm not too keen on 46 degrees and every mosquito-borne disease known to man. That puts me off, so I would rather my wife comes to the UK and joins me here. She's not going to be a burden on the taxpayer. In fact, she's bringing money with her, so I don't know. The UK it's not even a joke, it's sick. It's distorted, it's inhumane, it rewards bad behaviour and it punishes good behaviour. And I've been paying my governments for years, hundreds of thousands of pounds, for what? For nothing, absolutely nothing. And you might think, yeah, he's got sour grapes, he's upset that his wife's not got the visa, but I think she deserves it. And I think I deserve it. Blimey, it's cost me enough. But there's some good news, I guess. A year ago I said I was going to do some certain experiments which involved blowing up a 5,000 amp fuse. And I've got to confess that I absolutely annihilated it. I stuffed 0.5 kilowatt through the fuse and blew it. And with the help of my friends all around the world, you guys out there, you purchased a small high-speed camera, and I did. I purchased it on your behalf and recorded it in slow motion. I just need to get on and perhaps upload that. But this is my video explaining what the disaster's been in the last 12 months. It's been deeply unpleasant. I have no family here to speak of. I've got a father somewhere who disappeared when I was 9 years old. And I've got a mother and a sister. They both hate men and they seem to think, you know, that I've got a problem with my electrics. I can hear my sister's voice. Oh, Mum, don't you think he's a bit weird with all his light bulbs and his high voltage experiments? Oh, they're man-haters. So, I have no family in this country. I haven't spoken to them for years. I don't have silly people around me in my world. But what I have a lovely wife and a very lovely family in India. Actually, I should speak some Hindi, shouldn't I? Do you want to hear me speak some Hindi for a giggle? Shall I? No, I bet. But, you know, if you can't laugh at the situation, you'll end up crying with the situation. So, for anybody out there, if you're thinking about, you know, finding a decent lady from another country, you need to think long and hard, because the Home Office will do everything they can to make it as difficult as possible. A minor thing. I heard one case of one chap, he was rejected from bringing his wife in because there was a discrepancy on his pay slips. He said he got paid on the 23rd or something was on his pay slip, but the money didn't go into the bank till the 28th. Ridiculous, and they rejected it. They said no, it's discrepancy. You know, with my rejections, they said my tax return or my CT 600 piece of paper was 2015 and 16, but the truth is I actually sent 2015, 16, 2016 and 17. I sent both years' tax returns, but they just selected the one they want. And they probably looked at the form version of 2015 instead of the actual date on that version of form and rejected it. I'm not happy with my accountant and I'm not happy with my lawyer, but I think we'll get there. That's my long, boring update. You can laugh at the perpetual motion thing if you want to, but it's a fact. You're sitting on it. This lump of rock spinning around in space, 1,000 miles an hour with a magnetic field. You know that generates power. It's no-brainer, it's simple. And as I said, the hydrogen project, that'll go to India, and we shall smash water with loads of volts, 400,000, 500,000 volts, And just like when we get ozone from playing with high voltage, you can fill the whole room up with ozone using hardly any power, 100 or 200 watts, and you'll stink the place out with ozone. Well, there's no reason why you can't extract hydrogen and oxygen in the same format with water. You know, the electrolysis system is inefficient because the water molecules are already bound together, so if you get anything split, it will just recombine. There's a little secret to how we do it, and I'm not going to reveal it in the UK. When it's in India, you'll see it, and hopefully you'll see the thing working. It doesn't produce power, but it just produces about 16 million BTUs of heat output from 3,000 watts of electrical energy input. It doesn't defy any rules of physics. The fuel is bound up in water, hydrogen. You know, sometimes I think mankind's got a bit backward. We never got over the age of the wheel, but there is a future. And if there's something I can leave the next generation, that will be it. Burning coal, or burning dinosaur poo to get power. It's absurd. That's enough of my waffle. I do hope that I can get to some sense of normality sooner rather than later. There's a big juicy capacitor bank sitting there out the back, and I've got loads of experiments I've recorded but I haven't edited, so who knows. So, my good friends, my sincere apologies for the lack of videos, but it's been quite bad this end, very bad. In fact, there's a backup video that if the worst happens, a nominated person will have my YouTube account details and they will log in and release a pre-recorded video. But I don't think I'm too inclined to end it all just yet. But I have been thinking about that every day. And I think about my lovely wife and my family in India. We're trapped, separated, unjustly, inhumanely. And it's a disgrace. Thank you very much, ladies and gents. Very much appreciated. Take care.